Self-sufficiency manifests itself as simple living and high thinking. By growing your own fruits, vegetables, and herbs, and engaging your family in such meaningful activities, you'll be living very simple. You will have all your the most essential commodities covered, and it gives you room to think high. So when our families are engaged meaningfully in gardening, rising early in the morning and taking care of a beautiful garden, then all kinds of wonderful conversations come about. Good conversations about health, about the environment, the importance of cooperating with the microbes in the soil. All kinds of wonderful conversations come up. Also about life, about working, about careers. These conversations come up. So when you live simple, you will tend to think high. In the night, the family sit together on the bed, on the sofa, wherever, and talk about meaningful topics. Why the world is the way it is, how to be healthy in the kind of world that we're living in. What does it mean to be a leader? What does it mean to be a doctor? What does it mean to be a teacher? All of these are well discussed in the family by living simple. On the other hand, on the consumerism, the opposite is there. A different balance. So instead of simple living and high thinking, on the consumerism we have high living and low thinking. So consumerism means to find ourselves depending on others and trying to basically cocoon ourselves behind material desires. There's a kind of worm called the silkworm. The silkworm, before it turns to an adult, it wraps itself with its saliva. It forms a cocoon. So the worm stays in this cocoon until it is old, and then it comes out as adult. So similarly, but in our case, we wrap up ourselves with so many desires that it's hard to come out of them. We are trapped within these material desires, and we are full of anxiety, frustration, stress, and compromise. And in the quest of getting some relaxation, we engage in activities that really does not help in proper discussions. So there is high living, low thinking. High living means instead of a family-centered lifestyle, a family-centered, humane lifestyle, we have a sensually centered lifestyle. Sensually centered lifestyle behind, you can say, behind our own selfish interests. So, for high living and low thinking means all kinds of sensual desires that are infinite practically, and because of such high living, we think very low. Instead of engaging people and talking to people, how can we work things out? How can we live a life that is very meaningful, that is very safe? We talk about topics that about this car, about this house, a fancier house, a fancier car, what else? So many things that are burdensome. A fancier cell phone. Right now the phone that I'm using is doing the trick, right? So people cocoon themselves so much so, and they wonder, oh, low thinking, right? You're thinking about the things that they cocoon themselves by. For example, a fancy car. You look for the scratch and you say, oh my god, my car has been scratched, look there. And then you look and he said, I'm not seeing it. And then you say, I'm not seeing anything. And then he says, look, there's a scratch, a very small scratch. But that is the effect of low thinking. Yes? And people want to know about people think about their bodies, the muscles, right? Low thinking, bodily centered, sensually centered thinking. So this is what the world is finding itself in. And but we through this kind of lifestyle, the families, let me go into important details. In true consumerism, in high living and low thinking, what are the discussions? What are the activities that the family find themselves in? So the family find themselves depending on another person for basic commodities. Let's say a supermarket. And of course, anything that is commercial is bound to have some kind of like fertilizer used in order to speed up production to get more money, right? So first of all, the quality is compromised. The availability is compromised because you're putting one person under a lot of pressure to produce food for you. And it's amazing. The man of the family doesn't care to depend on another man for some balanji and bora. Very embarrassing. So this is called high living. High living means dependency. High living means sensually based. So the children now, like what I talk about the car, the family is seeking fancy cars, fancy cell phones, fancy houses, and the houses are grilled up, like a bird cage, and you cannot come out and meet people and talk to people. Yes, so you're living like like a cat, like always always worried in a sense. So there's high living, all kinds of fancy things, right? High living and low thinking. So low thinking means, like what I've described earlier, thinking about oneself. You talk about this person say, right? What this person say. You don't talk about ideas. You talk about people, right? You talk about people. Let me just go out a little. Yes. Yeah, you talk about people, and also in low thinking. Apart from people and apart from fancy material objects, you wrap up the thoughts in. You think about how can you have a system where you can dominate over another person. So dominance, that is low thinking. So you want to be the best in your class. So what about the rest in the class? You'll be on top of them. You'll be controlling them. They will have to serve you. Isn't that what is happening? Yes. So all of these things are happening because of low thinking. This dominance mentality, instead of simple living, high thinking, where everybody's trying to help each other out, nobody's better than nobody else. You try to live simple, lot of availability of resources. Instead of that, you're trying to be dominant over even the person who was once your friend. You're dominant over them, and you try to have a lot of you try to get a lot of knowledge or whatever is the option in order to dominate over them. Instead of using the knowledge to show others that life is easy to live, you're showing that, you know what, this is the life. It's either you get rich, live a polished lifestyle, or you die trying. Yes? You try to accumulate as much resource as possible or die trying. And low thinking also means that you compromise your loved ones because of what you speak. That's also part of low thinking. High living, low thinking, right? So the fancy lifestyle, and now you're thinking low. So you're thinking about, you don't care about the welfare of your children. They might be drinking alcohol and eating meat. There's hypertension, there's diabetes, there's speeding on the road, all kinds of mental things that comes from poor mindset, low thinking. So you're not worried about if your family gonna find him or herself in those situations. That is low thinking. And then when something happens, you go crazy. Yes? So we need to live simple and think high, rather than living high and think low. Thank you so much.